Okay, hello everybody. This is the third session for TEC. So let me share my PowerPoint. So I guess you can see the slides. And recording is in progress. Let's review very quickly for the golden rules. So as we discussed in previous webinar, you need to know your children. You need to know what they like. You need to earn their trust. They should feel comfortable and they trust you. You need to base your teaching around a topic or a theme. And you need to engage and challenge them. Do you remember the 4 C's we discussed? Communication, the characteristics of 21st century. Communication, critical thinking, creativity, and collaboration. Exactly. So they learn to work with each other. They discuss, they have role plays, they have games, and they need to think. So that's the part we say challenge them. Give them a chance to think. Give them a chance to find solutions and let them be creative, but don't make it too difficult or too easy. These are our golden rules. Talking about who are we going to teach and what are we going to teach. So who are we going to teach? Young learners and very young learners. So when I'm saying young learners and very young learners, what age group? Very young learners, like kindergarten children, usually between 4 to 6, and young learners, elementary students. Elementary students between 7 to 11 or 12. So, do they learn or do they study the language the same as adults? Of course not. Of course not. We discussed it last session that one thing is they have short concentration span. So that's a matter. We need to take variety activities to the class. Also, we need to take different activities while we are planning because we have different modes of learning, different styles of learning in our class. Like some students are visual, they need to see, so they need posters, they need pictures. Video clip helps them to learn much better. Some are auditory, they need to listen. You have to explain to them. They need to sing a song. They need to listen to their CDs, to audios to learn. Some, they need to act. They need to mime. They need to play. They like games and they're learning through total physical response. And read and write. Those are students who need to read it, so they need a text. No, it doesn't work for very young learners, but it works for young learners. The time that they can read and the time that they can write, they practice. Of course, they need to learn grammar, vocabulary, phonics, reading, listening, speaking, and writing all. But the way that we teach to young learners, very different from adults. They learn holistically. They absorb the language. They follow you and they imitate what you say. They love repetition. They don't go for rules, they just follow. So remember, there were 3 main stages for teaching: pre, while, and post. Pre-task activities, while task activities and post-task activities. Pre-task activities like make them engage with the subject. We put them in the context, activate their background knowledge, and lead them to that lesson. We start our presentation. While task is a time that they need to practice in pairs or groups, we give them thinking time. They start to think and practice with their classmates. And what is the role of the teacher? You just monitor them, check they're on the right track, and help them solve their problem. Post is the time that they learned and you want to get the feedback. And you have the reflection on your teaching as well. How well you get to the terminal objectives of the session. How well your students have learned the target language. For sure, they need to practice more. So as a teacher, we need to give them relevant homework to practice at home to make them more fluent and more accurate. Let's go to skills. When you want to teach either speaking, listening, reading, and writing, number one, they get engaged with the title. So we put them in the context, contextualization. And there should be a connection between what they learn and what they have learned, okay? What they learned before and what they're going to learn. So if there is a connection, it helps them to learn better, faster, and easier to remember. For example, if we want to teach something about weather, so we start from cold, warm, hot. This is the words that they know. Then we introduce the new words like sunny, windy, snowy, and rainy. So there's a connection. Activate their background knowledge. But if they want to understand the context, there are some keywords that help them to understand the context. Let me give you an example. This is actually my pet example. If the whole text, okay, the listening, either the listening or the reading, is about how to make strawberry jam, there are some new words in the context like chopping, pouring, adding, mixing, strawberry, and jam. Which ones are the keywords? Strawberry and jam. If they don't know the meaning of strawberry and jam, they won't understand anything of the text. So these are the keywords. In some books, you read about blocked words. Means if they don't know them, your understanding block, and you won't understand anything. You won't get anything. So we only pre-teach the keywords to help them facilitate their understanding, to help them to understand the text. But we give them a chance to guess the meaning of the other new words. Of course, we are going to check with them if they have understood it or not. But at first, give them a chance. But pre-teach the keywords. How to pre-teach the new words? There are some steps. Number one, oops, sorry. The very first thing is, what's the meaning of this word? For example, when you heard the words like Brot, it's a new word. It's not English, of course, it's German. So the very first thing comes to your mind, what's the meaning? So convey the meaning. This is the first step. You can use different skills to convey the meaning, like using them in the context. They see something, they see the poster, they see a short video about it. So we can use pictures, drawing, AVA, audio visual aids, Relia, like monk, like watch, miming, hot, cold, okay, miming, synonym and antonym. Light is antonym of dark. So they know what's the meaning of dark, so they understand, oh, so light is the antonym. Even you can use Klein. Draw a line, and on line, you show them the meaning. Like adverbs of frequency, always, never. So you draw a line and say always, never. And then here is usually, here in the middle is sometimes, hardly ever next to never. So you use Klein. What is next? Repetition. To learn the pronunciation, how to pronounce this new word. So you ask them to repeat. I usually, because the stress in a word is very important, so I usually ask them to clap on a stress syllable, like interesting, interesting, interesting. It helps them a lot. Or tap their feet. Interesting. Interest, not interesting. Interesting. There are, for foreigners, there are some pronunciations very new to them because they don't have it in their mother tongue, like pronunciation of W, what sound. It's new to many foreigners. Or th for TH, so the. Or S at the beginning, like school, school, student. It's not S school. Like in Spanish, no words start with sound. I know in Persian, no words start with sound. So they put e at the beginning, like a student, a school, or a window, wall. So we need to practice more. That's important. That's another aspect of how important it is, your students' background. So, I have to practice how to pronounce W. So you say what, watermelon, wall, water, or snake, student, study, or they, three. So we need to practice and stress, of course. What is the third step? You check with your students how well they get the meaning. So we have to check with our students how well they learn the meaning. They learn the meaning. A question like, for example, if you just ask them any questions or do you understand it, they look at you. Just to be sure, we need to give them kind of activity to check if they learn the meaning properly. Like when you teach them early, so we can draw and say 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Then you ask the students, what time do you get up? And Mary said, I get up at 6 because I want to go to school. But Gus said, I get up at 7. And then Shakia says, I get up at 6:30. And so, oh, all of you get up very early. What about you, your brother? And so my brother gets up at 10 o'clock. Then you ask the class, who gets up early? If they said his brother, it means they haven't got the meaning of early. That is CCQ, concept checking questions. I'm going to show you more samples. And what is the fourth? So convey the meaning, working on pronunciation, concept checking, and spelling. It depends to the level of the class. We start with learning letters. Then they learn word with 3 letters or 4 letters. Then it become more complicated. So when they are at level 1 or 2, they should know how to write word with 3 or 4 letters. So they learn how to write cap, tap, net, top, pen, pan. So you work on spelling. Let's go through some examples. Okay, everybody, look at this. It's she's student. No, she isn't. So involvement, engagement is very important. Oh no. So does she study anything? No, she doesn't. She's the teacher. Okay, she's the teacher. I'm a teacher. So everybody repeat teacher, teacher. Then individually check. You tell me, you tell me, you tell me, so we can check their pronunciation. Good. What about her? Is she a teacher? And say, no, she's a secretary. And then start to repeat and check, individual check. So who is the teacher? Can you point to the teacher? Picture 1 or picture 2? And this is concept checking. They said picture 1. Yeah, picture 1 is the teacher. What about me? You are a teacher. Excellent. And look at this picture. She's a teacher too, but the first one is an English teacher, but she's a music. Yes, she's a music teacher. So repeat music teacher, and that's one. So you, this way, for conveying the meaning, we use pictures. Which one is the secretary? Which one is music teacher? Then they show, or can you name your English teacher? So who's your English teacher? Who's your music teacher? Very good. Who's your gym trainer? You ask them questions for concept checking. If they are at the level to write teacher, you teach them how to write teacher, T-E-A-C-H-E-R. So you put it on the board and they follow you, and then you ask them, come to the board, write it to you, or write in the chat box. You can use Klein. I always go to the dentist. I often go to the dentist. I sometimes go to the dentist. So see, I rarely go to the dentist. I never go to the dentist. So you show it on the client so you understand what's the meaning of always and what's the meaning of never. Or something like mild, warm, cool, chilly, cold, freezing. So it's much easier to understand when you use Klein. Here, I always said CCQ and ICQ. So CCQ, we know, it's concept checking question. What is ICQ? CCQ is like the previous example. It's a question we ask the students to ensure they have understood our definition or explanation. ICQ is instruction checking question. When you give them instructions to do something, we need to check with our students, no matter children or adults or teenagers, to make sure our learners have understood what to do. When you ask them, okay, answer to these questions, give them long answers in your notebook. So you're going to check with them. So are they going to answer in short form or long form? They have to say long. Are you going to write it or speak about it? No, write it. Do you write it in the book or in your notebook? Always in the notebook. So you check with your students to be sure they're on the right track and they understood what to do. That's instruction checking question. But concept checking question, you want to ensure that they have understood our definition, our explanation. For example, in this case, they've understood the meaning of the word. So for CCQ, you can ask them questions. You can give them tables, turn on, put on, turn on, similar to. Then you ask them for the antonym. So they say turn up, put on, take up, turn down, similar to, different from. So they fill in the table. Or you can give them the greet. Find name of 4 fruit. So apple, pineapple, banana, or it depends what grade you prepare for them. Find 4 tools that you use for fishing. So they find rod, boat, and they draw lines, circle it. So it works on the spelling too. Also for CCQ, we can have games. Like you can ask them to write a verb, for example, verb on a piece of paper. Then put the cards face down on the table and put the students into groups. In online classes, you put them into breakouts or 3 breakouts based on the number of the students. So 1 student from each group choose 2 cards. If the cards, for example, they were antonym, they can take it. They can keep them. If the cards do not collocate, put them back, leave them in the same position on the table that everybody can remember what are the cards. And then the next group comes, okay? Representative of the next group comes and choose 2 cards. So cards could be different, either verbs or prepositions or adverbs, synonym, antonym, definition, phrasal verbs. It depends on the target language of the class. It depends on the activity you want to practice with your students. The player who collects most cards is the winner. So you can make different games, even board games. So you give access to your students to write on the board in your online classes. In your face-to-face classes, you line up in 2 lines and they run to the board, write something, write the answer, write the word, and come back to the end of the line. So the group which in limited time, the group who finishes sooner is the winner. So you can design many games. That's a practice for vocabulary. But what about in conversation time? What do we teach in conversation time? Good. We work on speaking skill, functions, language functions. All conversation have language functions like let's go, making suggestion. Would you like, making invitation? If I were you, I would do this. You should take a pill. Giving advice. Okay, so different functions. Pronunciation. It's not only pronunciation of a word, but also you work on stress and intonation in the sentence. Let me give you an example. I went to Paris last summer. So the stress word is Paris. Where did you go? I went to Paris last summer. When did you go to Paris? I went to Paris last summer. So the stress is on last summer. Who went to Paris last summer? I went to Paris last summer. So stress word in a sentence based on the meaning or based on the message you want to send to the listeners. And definitely intonations, like to be questions. Is it hot? Is it hot? Even you can show them raising. What's your name? WH questions following. What's your name? How are you? How are you? Where is she? Where is she? Intonation. Or even for tag questions. She's Ellie, isn't she? She's Ellie, isn't she? So you know she's Ellie. So intonation, and use your hands, ask them to repeat. They learn new vocabulary and definitely to practice grammar, to use grammar, that they become more accurate and fluent using that new grammar. Let's go through an example. Okay, everybody? I want you to look at these two pictures. Who can you see in the picture? Who are they? Grandchildren and grandparents. Look at the first picture. Are they inside the house or outside the house? Yeah, they're outside. How's the weather? What's the weather like? Yep, it's warm because they're wearing, what are they wearing? They're wearing t-shirts. You're right. They're wearing t-shirts. Yeah, I do agree. It's warm. But look at the second picture. Are they inside the building or outside the building? Yes, they are inside the building. Good. And what are they wearing? Jackets. So I think it's cold. Yeah? Where are they? They are in the bookstore. They go for shopping. Good. Yes. So in cold weather, we put on our jackets, hoodies, but in warm weather, we put on our t-shirts and shorts. Yes. Now look here. What's the weather like? How's the weather? It's raining. These are the keywords, okay? These are the keywords. I need to pre-teach the keywords. Otherwise, they won't understand the conversation. And they won't listen. If they don't understand it, they just close it. They won't listen. So pre-teach the keywords. It's raining. It's raining. So I need to choose two techniques to teach raining. Mining and the picture. It's raining. It's raining. Repeat. It's raining. You tell me. Harshay, you tell me. Shakia. Winston. Mary. Check with your student. It's raining. Good. Very good. What about this one? It's sunny. It's sunny. And it is hot. And it is hot. It's good to learn to write hot. So you write the H-O-T, hot, because it's only 3-letter word. It's hot. Okay, is it raining? I say no. How's the weather? It's sunny. That is CCQ, concept check-in. Is it raining? No. So they know what's the meaning of raining. Wow, it's windy. Windy, W. Mhm. Windy, windy. Whoosh. It's windy. It's windy. Good, very good. And look at him. Oh God. He is wet. He is wet. When you wash your hands are wet. Then you need to dry it. Okay, when I dry my hand, are they wet? And they say no. So that again, it's concept checking. It's concept checking. It's good to learn to write wet, 3 letter. So you write it W-E-T, wet, wet, and they learn it. Now, look at her. Is it warm or cold? It's warm, yes. But look at this picture. He's going to put on her coat. So is it warm? Yep, it's cold. But she's wearing her sun hat. She's wearing her sun hat. So when it is sunny, you put on your sun hat. When it is cold, you, bravo, put on your coat. Okay, everybody, turn on your webcam, show me you put on your coat, and then start showing you put on. Take your sun hat or take your hat or cap, put on your cap, and they go move up activities. They go and bring it because we know children can't stand or stay on their chair for a long time. So it's good to give them move up activity. So they run and take their definitely they have a cap or sun hat or any hat and put on. Bravo, bravo. What is next? So they know the new words. They are in a context. So we talk about grandparents, grandchildren. We pre-teach the new words. Now it's the time to listen. In conversation time, we work on 2 skills, listening and speaking. So first you ask them, now I want you, books are closed, I want you to listen to the dialogue and tell me where are they going and what's the weather like. Then you play the dialogue for them. Good? You play either before that, before playing the dialogue, you can review the words if you think it's needed. So they say it's raining, it's windy, it's snowing, cold, sunny. Here's the dialogue. They cannot see, it's not a time to see the dialogue, they just listen. And this is a dialogue which said, let's walk to the shops. What's the weather like? It's sunny. Don't put on your coat. Don't put on your coat, Billy. It's hot. Put on your sun hat, please. And then they get out and say, wow, it's windy. And say, oh, my hat, catch it. Now it is raining. We have our umbrellas. Let's go home. Quick, open the door. Where's the key? Oh no, I haven't the key. No, we are all wet. Then you ask them, okay, how is the weather? And they say, windy, sunny, raining. You can play it. You can play the audio and ask them, whenever you hear the weather word, act it, show me. For example, if say it's sunny, everybody shows sunny. Windy, raining, so they mime it. In this way, you encourage them to listen to the dialogue. And also, you check with them they have learned the new words. You can make it more challenging. Just show them some parts of the dialogue and ask them to complete it in groups. Like this. Let's walk to the shop. Oh, what's the weather like? Or let's walk to the shop. The function's let's. We never tell them this function we use for making suggestions because we know children absorb the language. They just learn. When you want to ask someone to do something with you, you say, let's let's play volleyball. Let's go shopping. So it's while time. We put them in pairs, we put them in groups, and they practice. We monitor them. The teacher monitors the students, listen to them, check their pronunciation, check them the use of the word and everything with the students. So they have time to practice. There's no need to memorize the dialogue because we know if they memorize something, they will forget it. So it's better give them a chance to practice the main words and functions. Maybe they use it in different form or in different contexts. What's the weather like? It's snowing. That's fine. Okay. Let's put on your pants. That's fine. So because we want them, they use put on. But it's not important. Put on your coat or put on your pants. We get to production, post. So they practice. Now it's post. This is an example. You show them different kinds of weather and say, what are you going to wear? So ask your friend, what's the weather like? It's sunny. So let's put on our t-shirt and sun hat. What's the weather? It's raining. Let's take our umbrella. Let's put on our raincoat. So they practice the new words and new function. Even you can give them as an homework. As a homework, or put them in different situations, like you're going to the park, you're going to the party, you're going on a picnic. So have the conversation. Oh, what's the weather like? It's very, very cold. It's snowing. Let's put on our coat. You can send this or email this to your student and say, look at this picture, write what's the weather like or how's the weather and what will you put on or wear. This could be for work too. Good?